Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of voice for radio. So today, let's go to the mall. Today! If you get that reference, let me know in the comment section. We are talking about Fashionable, the only new stadium card we need to be having a little bit of a chat about. And this is one of those hyper-specific stadium cards that probably isn't going to help a million different decks in a million different ways. But the right deck is going to absolutely love this. So what have we got? Our translation, I should mention, comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet. That's a statement you hear quite a lot. It's something you should kind of learn to expect at this stage. But Antoine is awesome, and if we don't give credit where credit's due, Antoine might stop helping us so much, and that would make me a very sad wassy. So anyway, what does it do? Once during each player's turn, that player may return a Pokemon tool attached to one of their Pokemon to their hand. Cool. It is a way of swapping around tools, and I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe we've seen this on a stadium before. As always, if I'm mistaken about that, please let me know in the comment section. But we absolutely have seen this before. And it's been pretty good. Now, a little while ago, we had a Masquerade. Now, Masquerade was it was a pretty regular thing, right? It was whenever you felt like it. But whenever you felt like it, you could put a Pokemon tool from one of your Pokemon back into your hand. It actually came out in Plasma Blast. It was years ago now, which makes me feel old, like I've been playing this game for a very long time, which I suppose I actually have. Man, I love this game. But Masquerade was a pretty cool card, and essentially it would just let you move your tools around. Now, Masquerade was actually part of the Tool Drop deck. That was a Trubbish that did more damage for each tool you've got attached to all Pokemon in play, yours and your opponent's. And we also had Sigilif at the time, which was a really good Pokemon that could have 4 tools attached to it, which was super important, so you could get lots of tools out and smash. And the thing is, as I'm saying this, a bunch of you should be thinking, well, hang on a second, Wassy. Haven't we got Tool Blade in the game right now? And the answer is yes. Yes, we do. Kind of. You see, the Doublade in Team Up has Tool Drop, 30 damage for each tool in play, but unfortunately this should be coming out on pretty much the same day, or at least thereabouts, that this rotates. Or Doublade rotates. So, sure, you're going to have it in Expanded, but in Expanded there is a strong argument to play something like Masquerade. So that's actually kind of annoying. I know there are a bunch of people out there who are going to be shouting Magearna at this stage. There was also a Magearna as well that it came out in Ultra Prism, and it said once during your turn before you attack, you may put a Pokemon tool attached to one of your Pokemon into your hand. So essentially this is Magearna from Ultra Prism, but as a two-sided stadium rather than a Pokemon. And there are reasons why we would want this on a stadium. The fact that it doesn't take up a bench space is really the biggest one of them, but also abilities can sometimes be turned off, etc. Of course, having it on a basic Pokemon does mean you can Quickball and grab it. Stadiums are harder to search out, but it still works. And the thing is, this is great. Like, if we look at the big Pokemon tools at the moment, one of the best Pokemon tools we've got is Air Balloon. Air Balloon reduces the retreat cost of the attached Pokemon by 2. And I know that that's actually kind of boring. I know that's not an exciting tool. But the fact of the matter is, it is a tool nonetheless. And it sees a huge amount of play. And you know what's super annoying? When you attach an Air Balloon to one of your Pokemon, because it's in your hand and maybe you're going to play a Professor's Research or something like that, so you play it because you have to, and then later on you actually like proper job need it, and then you can't find it because it's on a Pokemon you don't want it. Or like me, you might be playing Vitality Man. It's a tool that I play in probably far too many decks. It lets you do an extra 10 damage. But if I've had to put an Air Balloon onto a Pokemon, I cannot then attach Vitality Man. This isn't Keyforge. You can't have as many upgrades as you like. I know they're called tools in Pokemon. So my point is here, there are plenty of times you want to be switching it round. And this is what I love. Honestly, the very best thing about Fashionable, the number one reason it kind of gets me a little bit hyped as a stadium card, is I can put my tools wherever I darn well feel like it, and I know they're waiting for me. And it's even better than just it's there for the future, because I don't have to find it. I can leave it on my Pokemon, and then whenever I've got my Fashion Ball out, or maybe my opponent puts it out, then I can move it onto the Pokemon I want. And of course, something like Air Balloon just remains an even better example, because I put it on my active and then I retreat. And now it's attached to my bench, but at some point in the future, I am probably going to want to retreat another active Pokemon, so I can move it off my bench and put it back to my active. Unless my opponent plays a Tool Scrapper, that would be extremely sad. I like this. It only lets you move one tool per turn, but it does so many things. It lets you put it into your hand, and to be fair, it's a niche use, right? But something like Quickball. If you really don't have a card you want to discard with Quickball, you can use this to put a tool into your hand just to use it as discard fodder with Quickball. I'd rather that wasn't the use for it, but it is a use, it totally works. But what we're doing here is essentially moving a tool from a Pokemon that doesn't need it to a Pokemon that does. Maybe you put Vitality Band onto one of your Pokemon so that you can do an extra 10 damage, but now you don't need it on there anymore. So what you can do is just move it to a random bench Pokemon, because if it stays on your active, it could end up getting lost when you get KO'd. And round we go. A Tool Jammer from Battle Styles. If it's attached to your active, then Pokemon tools have no effect on your opponent other than Tool Jammer. And again, this is a card that you only ever really want attached to your active, so if you switch your active, you can then use this to switch your Tool Jammer, and then all of a sudden it's on the active and you're ready to go. Expshed is exactly the kind of tool that will often end up being attached to the wrong Pokemon, and not necessarily through any fault of your own. Because you see, Expshed, when your active is KO'd, you can move an energy from your active to one of your bench. And you might have had to attach it so you don't discard it. Or you might have attached it to a Pokemon that then took a bunch of damage, and now you don't want to move the energy to your damaged Pokemon because you're too easily KO'd. Or you might have put it on a Pokemon thinking, I am definitely going to want to use this Pokemon, and then your opponent benches something else or starts doing something different, and you're like, oh man, now I want it on another Pokemon. And this lets you move the goalposts. This lets you move that Expshed from a Pokemon where you thought it was going to help, but now it's not going to help, to a Pokemon where it absolutely is. And that's why I love this stadium. Now, there is still going to be a lot of decks that will never play this. I mean, one of the big stadiums we've got coming out in the near future is Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak is basically Power Plant, but it's all Pokemon with a rule box, not just EXs and GXs. There are going to be decks that have to play that. There are going to be decks that need Path to the Peak as a counter to these ability-hungry decks, and they will never consider playing any other stadium. This is too gosh darned important. When I'm making single strike decks, I adore Tower of Darkness because it gives me an extra bit of draw, and I am probably not going to end up playing this in those single strike decks, although they do have those attack tools which are kind of cool. But there are other decks that absolutely will. Some Zacian decks are really, really reliant on Rusted Sword. Like, properly reliant on Rusted Sword. Like, they can't hit the numbers without Rusted Sword, and if they end up not having Rusted Sword, they end up losing the game. It can be that severe. So you play Fashion Mall, and I love the idea of super serious Zacian running around in a Fashion Mall. That amuses me to no end. And that's going to allow you to put the Rusted Sword wherever you like, knowing you can get it back later. My Phanpy Donphan deck, which I really want to be good, really does need Memory Capsule to allow Donphan to copy Phanpy's outrage style attack. And I have tested way too many games where I've hit the memory capsule in a situation where I had to discard it. This would mean that I would just stash it on a Pokemon ready to use it later. It means if I'm not ready to use the outrage attack, I can move the memory capsule off. I love this. I'm going to stop giving examples now. I think I've made my point. I am in no way, shape or form arguing that this is going to be a staple stadium in every deck, because I really don't think it is going to be. But I absolutely 100% am arguing that this is an extremely useful stadium that any deck that relies on particular tools is going to absolutely want to keep in mind, and for that reason I'm giving it 4 Wassies. And that is going to sound high to a bunch of you, and that is absolutely fine. But the fact of the matter is, this is a type of stadium that will win games. It will allow you to get your Pokemon out the active, do the extra damage, all the extra bench damage, or copy that attack on your pre-evolution in situations where without this stadium, you wouldn't be able to use it. And you can look at it and go, I'd rather have Magina or Masquerade, and in Expanded, you go nuts. Because in Standard, that ain't an option. I think this is going to see a bit of play, and I think it's going to be good. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.